Alright, fuck it. We're just doing it. Saturday night, we're doing it hasty, just quick. I don't want to be on forever. Of course, I know I probably will be because once I start doing it, I just can't stop. Everybody, welcome to the Frankly Fabulous show. Frankly Fabulous therapy marathon. Trying to pull myself out of the festering. I should probably stop doing this because I do need to get more focused on. So maybe this will just be a quick one. Maybe I'll just go to midnight or something. There's always more to say. That's a problem. Should do a weather report. It's dark out. It's cold as fuck. There's snow everywhere. It's like a big snow cone out there. I've been inside literally all day. It's dark. I wrote a couple country songs the other day in my sleep, or lack thereof, when I woke up early. Cold days, leaning into hard nights. Your low down ways got me hiding in plain sight. That's one of them. And then my other one, Rancho Relaxo. I'm just sitting here in Rancho Relaxo. I'll be living here the rest of my day. I'm just living in Rancho Relaxo. Anyway, it's been productive, so I thought I'd start with some poems, some poetry at the top of the show. Just some things I've been working on. Where should I start? January 31st, Energy Donut. Energy Donut, right, everybody? Davening, like I do. Davening is a word, I think, from Judaism. And I think it just kind of means praying or, kind of a ritualistic praying. I think movement might be involved. Let me turn this light on real fast. So that's Energy Donut, January 31st. So that's a week old. Then it jumps ahead to February 4th. Should I start? Let me just check this notebook real fast. Make sure I got the right thing. I have a poem in here called Energy Donut as well, from February 1st. So I have one from January 31st called Energy Donut, which goes davening like I do. And then this one from February 1st is also called Energy Donut. And the whole poem consists of 2 words. Fuck dying. It's an Ice Cube song, and I think it's a pretty good national anthem right now. Fuck dying. Let's try. I'll just read from this one. February 4th, the Taco Bridges. The Taco Bridges. Not so fast. Waited this long. What's another week or 2? So that's just sort of about how I keep pushing my trip back. I've waited this long. What's another week or 2? That was February 4th. It's only the 6th or the 7th today. Fucking Super Bowl's tomorrow. I am trying so bad to get the fuck out of here. What's another week or 2? It's costing me my fucking sanity. That's what. I'm going nuts. Frozen in. I got cabin fever. I don't even know what you'd call it. I feel like I might lose my mind, actually. Blunderbuss. Speaking of which, blunderbuss. A blunderbuss, I found out, is like one of those guns that's like it's sort of a precursor to the shotgun. And you always heard this term. I had no fucking idea what it was. But it's like one of those guns that has like the end of it's like a trumpet horn almost. It's like a kind of a funnel, but it's like curved out and it just sprays, I guess. I'm not exactly sure what a blunderbuss fired, if it fired shot or whatever, but I'm a blunderbuss. You're a blunderbuss. We're all blunderbuss. My room is like a storage unit. Habit forming. Absolutely naughty. I was writing this stuff while we were watching The Addams Family. I thought the guy said absolutely naughty, but my mom's like, he said absolutely nutty. Another instance of her correcting me. I think it was better if he would have said absolutely naughty. My room is like a storage unit. I think is a great line, though. My room is like a storage unit. That's how it feels in there, where it's just like there's just shit laying everywhere. Like, it doesn't really feel like a room. It feels like, I kind of like that. I kind of like messiness, but I would like at least my books to be like shelved so I can access them. Right now, I got to pull fucking, anytime I want to read a thing, I got to like get rid of 2 books on top of it and find a place for them. It's just like, I got to get out of here, man. New York Fashion Week is February 13th. Who knows what that's going to be like this year, but I feel like I should be there. Also, it's Chinese New Year coming up. I forget what day it is. I think it's like next weekend or something. But every February or whatever, you see somebody on Instagram in New York sharing pictures from Chinese New Year. It's like really one of the first things that happens. That's like, okay, spring is coming. And to me, I don't know. I do want my arrival there to sort of coincide with the real New Year, which is sort of like around this time. I feel like it's the Lunar New Year, I guess. Maybe Chinese New Year is not the accurate word, but I definitely want to be in New York for Fashion Week. I don't want to get stuck in the polar vortex. I got to be at New York Fashion Week, man. You may now kiss the brides. Already 35, might as well be 36. More dowdy. 20 moments later, frumpy. Brought down by depression and reaction the generations. The beginning of death and oblivion. So a lot of these are lines from Absolutely Fabulous. They went to New York Fashion Week and they got married. Patsy and Adina got married by Whoopi Goldberg. And so she didn't say, you may now kiss the bride. She said, you may now kiss the brides. So it's kind of an interesting language thing because it was referring to both of them but also in the plural. So it was like, it was like direct to both of them, but it was also plural at the same time. So it was kind of an interesting kind of, sentence paradoxical kind of sentence. You may now kiss the brides. And then my mom was describing her daughter as being dowdy. She got dowdy in the later seasons. Earlier, she was kind of cute, but she was dowdy later. And I was trying to think of a better word. And the word I thought of was frumpy. Then I looked up frumpy, and I think it said something about it, dowdy. So maybe dowdy was the best word, but frumpy I think is also a good word. I don't know. Like I said, my mom is like constantly putting us in this fucking contest about like, I don't even know what. So I have been brought down by depression and reaction to generations. That's what this Ab Fab show is about. And then Adina, it's her 40th birthday. So she says it's the beginning of death and oblivion. A payola scandal of the heart. How did Jennifer Saunders never do a Christopher Guest movie? She must have. And this is something I brought up with my mom the other day. I was like, man, how has Jennifer Saunders never done any movies? How's she never been in a Christopher Guest movie? And my mom was just like, maybe she didn't want to. It's like, why the fuck do you have to disagree with every fucking thing I say? Like, Ricky Gervais was in a fucking Christopher Guest movie. He's in For Your Consideration. Like, he pays attention to British comedy, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, Christopher Guest kind of casts from all over the place. Jennifer Saunders seems like one of those type of performers, you know, character improv kind of maybe. It's just like that kind of like dismissal. I'm just getting sick of it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, I have plenty of friends who think I have a lot of interesting things to say. I don't need to like try to be nice to my mom and have her like fucking slap me down constantly. It's just like, it's not that interesting talking to her, you know, like it's just a bunch of TV and pop culture bullshit, you know? And it's just more trouble than it's worth. She's just a rough person. She's just rough. Like, she's just not very nice, I gotta say. Like, she's not very nice, or like she's just very abrasive and like disagreeable. It's like it's really unpleasant. Adina meets her son, who she hasn't seen in 10 years, in the film drama section of the Strand bookstore. He works there, talking from behind a book right near the poetry. Later, Patsy's dancing on the bar at Hogs and Heifers, and she lights herself on fire. I tell my mom that's 7 blocks from my new apartment. So once again, this is more of us watching fucking, and I'm talking about, and I mentioned it earlier. Adina's son works at the Strand, played by Josh Hamilton, and the idea is he moved to the United States to get away from her. He hasn't seen her in 10 years, and it's interesting because where they shot the scene, I'm pretty sure where the film and drama section is right next to the poetry. Like, the film and drama is, if you go straight into the Strand all the way back to kind of like the counter in the back, and you turn left, there will be like kind of plays on table. Fiction is to the right, and then on the left is the film and drama section. And then if you go to the aisle at the end of that wall is the poetry section. So it was just weird watching this show, and the situation is so relatable. Like, neither one of her kids likes her. You know, they both kind of like are really fucked up by her in different ways, where like they have to like just like completely cope somehow, you know. So anyway, it was just weird that this was like taking place in this very real location that like I've been, you know, the Strand I'd go to once a week or something, you know, like I knew people that worked there. Like, she doesn't get that I lived in New York long enough. It was like I had a sort of a seniority. Like, I had known people that had, you know, just because I didn't work there, it's like I didn't need to work there. You know, like, I knew a bunch of people that did. Like, I could still get a job there, maybe, but anyway. And then Hogs and Heifers, right? This bar used to be it's in the meatpacking district. There's like a Tesla store across the street now, but it's sort of near the Standard and Laban and stuff. And I don't think I mean, I'm sure it's probably not there now, but I think it closed a few years ago. But it was just like, it was sort of like a Coyote Ugly. My mom thought it was Coyote Ugly. And I'm sure, even though I told her it was Hogs and Heifers and I've been there, I'm sure she still thinks it's Coyote Ugly, because that's just how she is. It's really loud in there. And there's like all these bras, and it's just like, it's a super touristy kind of spot, but it's cheap. You know, you can get a can of beer, 2 cans of beer for $5 or $6, or maybe, I don't know. But it was in fucking Patsy and Adina are sort of coming out of that like rock and roll fashion access, rock stars, Mick, Keith, and models, Twiggy, and fucking whatever. In the meat packing district and that whole culture, and Hogs and Heifers, like, I'm sure in the fucking 90s or whatever, when they shot that, was like kind of a cool, the way they portray meat packing in that episode is like very edgy. It's all these like candle wax clubs and shit with like big bear kind of dudes in leather and shit. It's like it's a little S&M. It hasn't been like that for a long time. Like, ever since I've been there, it's like meatpacking district is like, Park Street or whatever. It's just a bunch of fucking normie bros and, it's just like the world-class club trash, or whatever. So I don't know. It's like, once again, this is one of these things that like I'm constantly telling my mom, like, oh, I've been there, or yeah, like I know what that is. And it's just like, it doesn't even matter to her. It's like she probably just thinks that I'm trying to like show off or something. I don't know. Is that impressive that I've been in the fucking place that they shot fucking Absolutely Fabulous on? Like, that's all I have to show for my life. Anyway, it's my job to know these things. Compiling the unreleased Ishtar soundtrack album one song at a time across eternity. Sinatra, Dylan, and Springsteen chanting tunes one night along a piano in Jersey. That would be a good movie or skit. Would have liked to have been a fly on the wall at this council of extraterrestrials, this meeting of troubadour Illuminati. But is it art? No, it's my father. So that, I was reading this thing, it was talking about some night that Bob Dylan, Frank Sinatra, and Bruce Springsteen shared, where they were all around a piano singing songs one night in New Jersey. I thought that was that would make a good like short play or skit sort of in the manner. If you could get Phil Hartman to do Sinatra, I don't know who you get to do Bob Dylan and Springsteen, but it'd be like one of those Phil Hartman Sinatra sketches, the duets or whatever. But it also felt like, are they all aliens? Maybe that was some kind of like weird alien, ritual or something. They were sending tribunal. They were sending some kind of group message. And then, but is it art? That's something they constantly say on AbFab, I guess. That's like a catchphrase. Oh, but is it art yet, Eddie, or whatever. And the joke was that Adina had horrible taste and she bought all this modern art. She's like, I bought the future. And I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, oh, I think it looks pretty cool. I don't know. They're constantly like lampooning that kind of shit. And it's like, I don't know, like, I like fucking modern art and shit, but the joke was like, oh, is it her dad had, I don't know, died or something, and like his thing was mixed up in the art. It was like, she was like, is it art? She's like, no, it's my father. I don't know. And this poem kind of was referring to a lot of things that are like my father. The unreleased Ishtar soundtrack album, my holy grail of media items that is unreleased. I mean, obviously Magnificent Ambersons, like, that'll never come back, but if they could repair Magnificent Ambersons, that would be like maybe the ultimate. But my holy grail of things that they really could conceivably release, and in fact, I'm kind of surprised that it's not on the internet already somewhere. Maybe it is, but it's not on YouTube as far as I've seen. And I really think they should release this, because this movie is kind of being reassessed, and it's like, it would just be harmless. Like, they recorded it, they did all the work, they wrote all these songs, and like, this movie does have fans. Like, even though it was some like notorious bomb when it came out, like, I do love Ishtar, and I think the songs are fantastic. I really would love to hear them. I tape recorded the fucking movie on my micro cassette recorder in high school or whatever, so I could have the little bits of the songs that are in the movie to listen to. And I listened, because I liked them. I like the lyrics, Life is the way we audition for God. Let us pray that we all get the part. I mean, come on. In all of it, I'm leaving some love in my will. So, apparently Warren Beatty and Dustin Hoffman went into the studio and recorded the whole fucking kit and caboodle. Like they recorded all the Rodgers and Clark songs with big backing bands. And I've found 2 tracks recently. I forget how I initially found Dangerous Business, but somehow I found on YouTube, something with about 5,000 views that was the original cut from the soundtrack album of Dangerous Business, which is their most famous song. It's absolutely their signature song. And in the movie they play it over the final credits, and you can hear a lot of it without, but then like they do have kind of like some sound over it and stuff like that. So it's not that pure. Whereas like somehow for this, they got the actual fucking track. I don't know how they got it, but it's clean. It's a studio recording. It's not from the movie. So I YouTubed to MP3, converted that shit immediately. And fucking, now I have the Ishtar, Dangerous Business, the original track. And I didn't even know if they recorded a whole soundtrack album or what, but I forget how I found it, but I was on YouTube the other day and I found another. Let me just play it right now, actually. I found another fucking Ishtar track called Portable Picnic, which has a really crazy fucking production value. And like, it's from the soundtrack album. It's a studio recording with Warren Beatty fucking singing it. And it's one of the songs in the movie, but in the movie, it's a little bit different. You just hear him kind of playing it at his piano. Lip smacking, toe tapping, perfectly delicious. Dun, dun. But the recording is a lot, it's a lot more 80s kind of in a way. And so I found this, at 5 o'clock in the morning when I woke up early because of my fucked up emotional problems. And I thought this was a real breakthrough. I thought I'd find the whole Ishtar soundtrack. I thought it was online. It had to be. Because I found, listen to this. Love, cherry ripple kisses, lip smacking, toe slapping, perfectly delicious. You are a meal for my heart. You are a picnic. Like, that's pretty good recording quality. Love, you're good as grits and gravy. Good looking, your cooking makes my straight hair wavy. You are a meal for my heart. You are a portable picnic. So yeah, I mean, I found that. I found Dangerous Business. I ripped the MP3s. Now I have them in my library. No matter what happens, I will have fucking Dangerous Business and Portable Picnic forever. But I'm looking at the IMDb page, and like the soundtrack album has got like 20, 24 tracks or something, like ridiculous. Like, all I'm saying is release the full album. The public has been waiting for almost 40 years. This is like the JFK files, like just declassify it. Leak it, somebody. If you're out there listening, somebody with whoever produced this movie, Columbia Pictures or whatever, if you're out there, leak. We'll make it very worth your while. The Ishtar fans are small, but they are hardcore, and they are legion. Like they are to the bone. The Ishtar fans, the Rodgers and Clark heads. I mean, Dangerous Business is as good as Bridge Over Troubled Water any day of the week. It's better. I dare say, in my book, and frankly, Fabulous estimation, Dangerous Business is definitely better than Bridge Over. Fuck Bridge Over Troubled Water. That's like some Let It Be era rehashed trash. I mean, it's okay. It's just a lot of those songs kind of overstretched. Like, it's kind of like MacArthur Park or something. It's like, it's too much, man. It's too dramatic. Like, I'll take Dangerous Business any day of the week. And I want to hear the rest of the songs. I'm sorry. I got my hopes up because I found this fucking Portable Picnic track. And I thought, oh my God, I've hit the mother lode. If this song is out there, then the whole Ishtar album has to be out there, because why would they only leak this one song? It doesn't make any sense. Somebody just texted me. That was kind of scary. Let's see who it is. Okay. It's my brother Eamon. Oh my God. Yes, I've just been having an emotional roller coaster. Not even a roller coaster, just kind of a mashing to a pulp incinerator griddle kind of, not really a roller coaster at all, actually. More of an emotional torture rack, trash burning power plant. So this is what I did at like 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever, when I couldn't sleep the other day for whatever reason. I really don't know what's going on. Like, something changed and I don't even know what the fuck it was. Like, it just, this week was like so harsh, and just like, I don't know, something happened in the dynamic in this house and it's not good. But that was the only fucking track I was able to find. If anybody else is out there and they know how to get the other Ishtar songs, and if you can supply me with the original master tapes of the Ishtar full soundtrack, Rodgers and Clark, the album that they intended to put out before it got trashed because they backed off, like all great masterpieces, Smile, they just throw it in a fucking landfill because they can't handle the future. They're not ready for it. And Ishtar is a fucking masterpiece. And fuck anybody who doesn't think so. They're dumb. They are stupid. And, to be honest, I don't even think the critical reaction, anybody who said that movie was like bad was an idiot. Like, the reaction was more just that it was overpriced. But they should have put the soundtrack album out. They recorded the whole damn thing. Musicians love it. My dad was the one who turned me on to it, but my friend Nick Delaveras, he was super into Ishtar. Tommy, super into Ishtar. We want the soundtrack. We will memorize it. We are Rodgers and Clark devotees. Like, the world deserves it. Come on, in this time of, grueling hardship and stringency, like, give us something to be happy about. Please, somebody at the record company, leak the Ishtar tracks. Like, we'll make it worth your while. You'll be very handsomely rewarded for that. And you're just doing the right thing. The world needs to hear these fucking masterpieces. Like, the songs are great. They're hilarious. Oh, I'm so fond of all of them. It would really bring me such joy if the Ishtar soundtrack is out there. Somebody send it to me. I've got two of maybe, so I'm going to compile it piece by piece. One song at a time across eternity. I'm compiling the unreleased Ishtar soundtrack album. That is my vow. Someday it will be complete and it'll be like the Triforce. It'll just emanate some awesome power again. Premature curmudgeon. That's me. I'm the premature curmudgeon. This is that's my one of my personas. The premature curmudgeon. Poetry is an embarrassing word. From one Leo to another. The horrible truth of my genetics. I don't know. I was just thinking about, you can't even claim anything about poetry. You can't write poetry. You can't read poetry. It's an embarrassing word. The horrible truth of my genetics. Don't we all? Don't we all? I like watching silent films until falling asleep. They are the most dreamlike. Yeah, try it. Before you go to sleep, put a silent movie on. And it'll put you to sleep, definitely. But I don't know. Silent movies are kind of more, I don't know. They're more kind of artistic, I think. Because they're more just about the form and shape and things. All right, February 4th, sleeping around. I'm sleeping around. Watching Cassavetes' Johnny Staccato. Hailing a cab on West 4th Street. I realize I've played beer pong in the basement of that building with a girl from Oxford. My friend Alex was trying to set me up with. Yeah, I was watching. Once again, this is like one of these TV show things. There's this Cassavetes show called Johnny Staccato from the late 50s where he played a jazz piano player in Greenwich Village who's like a private detective. And it's on YouTube, so I've been putting it on a little bit. I've always wanted to check it out. And there was a shot of him, I think, on West 4th Street. I think is what that street is. And there's like this fucking bar in a basement because the whole West Village is just like these horrible like college bars. And my friend Alex, who I live with at the house, tried to set me up with this girl who went to Oxford who was just not interested in me at all. I think she only did like a summer program there. She wasn't like, some super chosen, world academic person going to Oxford. February 5th, Time Collector. It's me. I'm the Time Collector. I'm the premature curmudgeon. I'm the Time Collector. My financial advisor / bookie, Steamboat Bill Jr. I'm stuck in Beret. That's Buster Keaton's dad, Joe Keaton, shaving off his son's affected mustache. How have I never watched Ab Fab? I am in love with this show. It's the story of my family, mom's side, which I generally avoid. Cold days. Hiding in plain sight. I know what I did. I was there. Mommy issues. Fuck. I'm scheduled here to leave the 12th of never. The time that we've shared will last forever. My country band is called Rancho Relaxo. That was stuff I wrote that sort of intermixed with those country songs I was singing earlier. I was laying in bed. I literally woke up at 5 in the morning or something. So I was laying in bed and I thought of these songs. I got up, I recorded them on my tape recorder, but then I wrote down some of the lines too. Cold days. February 5th, 23 Skidoo. For goodness sake, I got the hippie shake. Their souls are imprisoned in cover bands. I just was thinking of that song, the hippie shake. I hadn't thought of that in years. And I was like, that's kind of I don't know, whatever, fuck that song. Their souls are imprisoned in cover bands. I refuse to let it happen to me. February 6th, how rude. How rude. I was very confused about what failure would do for my career. Maybe I'll film my living room like a 3-camera sitcom. I was thinking about that. Like maybe I could just set up like some kind of multicam setup in this living room. Because I was watching these sitcoms the other day. I was watching The Nanny with Fran Drescher, which is very racist, by the way. There was like a number of racist jokes about Hispanic maids, and like she made some joke about an Asian person's name. I couldn't really believe it. But you know, I was also watching that Tim and Eric Beef House, which is sort of like a riff on sitcom form. And to be honest, one of my strengths, I think, is writing sitcoms. In college, I was like, everything I wrote sort of ended up as a sitcom somehow. But I was thinking, what if, you know, because it's always like a living room. The idea is it's like 3-camera setup, which, you know, in this day and age actually seems pretty interesting. You know, because everything now is like some kind of multicam digital video thing, like sort of post Arrested Development, post Larry Sanders, or a fake documentary or something. The 3-camera sitcom, which in the 90s, you know, when I was a kid, seemed like just the most hackneyed. Like, I thought if I got a job as a sitcom writer when I grew up, like, I just want you to shoot me, because that is like the least artistic like form, and it's just like it's so pablum, and just like it's not what I wanted to be. You know, I just had a disdain. I thought sitcoms were just like, and I still think that, really, to be honest, but like I suppose that was the best way to like film those situations, was to just like build because it's sort of like a play, except they have cameras they can cut between, and it's shorter. But you know, like now there's sort of an affection for that kind of, and like that form is sort of a stylization in a way, whereas like things now are way closer to trying to be like reality, or, you know, like I said, documentary style. They're more kind of verite or on the fly, improvised, not in a studio, not on a soundstage with like fucking like anchored cameras. Like everything is like handheld, and maybe, I don't know. I guess I don't watch a lot of shit, but it's more, you know, these shows are like movies now. You know, like even fucking, what was the Kominsky Method? All these Netflix shows that like could be sitcoms, they're all like digital video fucking movies that they film out in the real world, you know, like they're movies. But I don't know. I think there's some kind of affection for this 3-camera form. And I was just thinking, well, this is a living room. What if I could just set up 3 cameras in here and film the living room, like film my situation with my mom? I don't know. It's like, this is what I'm going through. You know, I'm going through this fucking like nightly humiliation of just like sitting and watching TV and not saying anything right, and that's the reality of it. I don't know. Like these sitcom living rooms are so presentational. Like think about the Full House. All these, they all look the same. And like sort of theoretically, I guess where the fourth wall is like maybe where the TV is. There's always a fucking couch, and like everything's kind of oriented, you know, towards the fourth wall in a similar way. There's spacious living rooms, you know. Fucking Full House has got, you know, like an open air to the second floor and shit. You know, it's like the architecture of these sitcom living rooms. Where the fuck did this come from? Death of a Salesman or something? I thought Tool Time kind of had an interesting living room setup. You know, the way like the fucking, yeah, it was more kind of like planular and like kind of through. You know, like you got the idea that the back door kind of opened out into the set they used when they went outside, when he talked to Wilson and shit with the fence. And then the kids' room was very interesting too, with those multi-platform beds. I guess Tim probably built those or something, is the idea. But it wasn't a typical fucking like, okay, here's the fucking fourth wall and there's a couch, and like every, you know, even Frasier's kind of like that in a way. It's just like this kind of panorama of It looks like the set for a Neil Simon play or something, like, except the decor is supposed to, it's just a living room. I don't know. Is that a drawing room comedy or something? What is it about sitcoms that makes them so, like I said, now a sitcom is like kind of a fucking like every piece of trash from our childhood. It's been sort of like rescued and like used. You can filter things through the aesthetic of that. Like anything could be the subject matter of a sitcom. It doesn't have to be this happy family world or whatever the fuck it is. Like you could filter a lot of subject matter through that that kind of set and presentation. I don't know. I guess the problem that I have, and one of the interesting things that's different about watching Ab Fab than British humor as opposed to American humor. Like you think about The Office, maybe. I don't know. The British Office was like less moralistic. I don't know. It was like there was some romantic storylines, but it was like I don't know. I guess I didn't really see how that panned out in the United States version. I never watched it. It didn't appeal to me. It seemed very cute. Maybe that's not a good example. Other sitcoms are more grotesque. Like I think about TGIF stuff, Step by Step. What the fuck was going on in that? They were like a foster home, but all their kids were like super, I don't know, healthy looking and seeming. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It didn't really seem like they had a lot of trouble or anything with the kids they adopted, Everybody kind of got along. Maybe I'm missing that. Maybe there was some kind of, the one kid, JT, was he a fuckhead or something? Even Boy Meets World and shit. I love Boy Meets World because you followed him through his whole shit. It was like the Dwanell saga of sitcoms where it was like you got to know Corey in about fifth grade. I was about in fifth grade when it came on. And he was Ben Savage. He was Fred Savage's brother. And we had fond memories of Fred Savage from that other seminal coming of age sitcom, The Wonder Years, which I tried to watch recently, and I immediately turned it off because it was like very, I don't know, boomerish or something. It was like kind of unbearable. But what was it with the Savage brothers? I'm not sure. They were so fucking like castable in the 90s. What was so great about them? I mean, Fred Savage did have kind of a way with, oh my God, he had kind of an anxiety. All of these fucking protagonists had a shitload of anxiety. And like, you were in his head, so you heard Daniel Stern's voice, so you heard his self-consciousness. You heard his inner monologue. That was what was interesting about that show was it was like a writing kind of autofiction in a way. A young adult coming of age, It was more like a film, I guess. It definitely wasn't on a set. The music and shit. I loved The Wonder Years when it was on. I mean, I thought that show was like the fucking bomb. Like, you grew up with the character, like his torrid, unrequited love with Winnie and shit like that. His dad, Dan Lauria, his brother, Wayne, Jesus Christ. Wayne is one of my favorite TV characters. The casting on that show was always great. But it was more just boomer nostalgia saturation, man. Like, that's why I think I resisted it. It was just like, oh my God, what could be more of like a glorification of the 60s? In a certain way, it was maybe like the original Mad Men. It was like a 60s period piece, and you kind of went through that whole decade. But Boy Meets World was like on every fucking network. It literally, I think it was on every network at one point. Like, ABC, it was like in Topanga, you got older, and then they went to fucking college and shit. I guess Saved by the Bell was like that. Rest in peace, Screech. I never really liked Saved by the Bell, to be honest. Maybe it was because it was about like cool people. Boy Meets World, it was a little bit relatable because he was this kind of like self-conscious writer protagonist, kind of neurotic, good guy. Ryder Strong was his friend. And he was like the heartthrob, dude with the hair and like, I don't know, the Anglo-Saxon features or something. But Ben Savage was more kind of the everyman. And he had a good thing going on with Topanga. I'm not really sure how he hooked that up because, she got fine. I mean, that was just one of many. I definitely watched Family Matters a lot and followed the whole Stefan Urkel storyline. And I mean, Urkel was so goddamn talented. He stole the show. You got the impression that show was originally just about Carl Winslow and the family and shit. And Urkel was just like a side thing. And Urkel just rocked it so hard and was so live. Did I do that and all that shit? I mean, it was just a block. It was like Family Matters, Step by Step, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I watched Friends when it was first on, I'm ashamed to say. And I tried to, I don't know. I tried to watch a little bit of everything. I watched Wings a little bit. Frasier we were really into. But I don't know. Like, I think I don't find that form that interesting. And when I was watching all that stuff, I felt like it embarrassed. I felt like it was a waste of time. I felt like it was a guilty pleasure type thing. I felt ashamed of the fact that my writing sort of, the things that they teach you, I think, at least the way I absorb them. And if you're writing comedy, I think in particular, and you're doing it by sort of like screenwriting book rules, I don't know. It's not that hard to come out like sitcom wise with, that kind of economy, the act structures, the way that the conflicts resolve and shit. Everything gets solved in 22 minutes. There's no continuity. Mad About You, is that show any good? I'd like to check that out again. Aren't they doing a reboot of that? Oh, great. Now we get to see all these fucking characters. It was interesting when Antoine Doinel did it, but now we're going to get to see literally like the entire fictional life of Paul Buckman, Paul and Jamie Buckman. It's like, who fucking cares what they're doing? Like, we don't need to see where they're at now that they're 60. Like, it was nice, Paul Reiser, go away. Like, did he had like sort of a Curb Your Enthusiasm type show, I thought. I don't know, like, I think the Mad About You reboot is shot that way. I don't think it's shot like a sitcom because they are sort of doing that. Like, wasn't the Will and Grace reboot like, or continuation or whatever, reprise? The Will and Grace resurrection was like a 3-camera. It wasn't like the 21st century. Like, I like when they do that. When they like, why don't they make like a Will and Grace like anime or something? Make a Will and Grace like manga. Or like do some kind of feature length but I think that was a problem I had with sitcoms was like, that was sort of what was groundbreaking about Louis' show, not to bring him up again, but like there was less sense that something needed to go on for 22 minutes and sort of, in the container had to be that size. You could do an entire storyline that was 6 minutes long that didn't have anything to do with the next commercial break. Just because, like the way that people receive television is different now. You watch it in all different sizes, YouTube, everything's different lengths, different, presentations, aspect ratios. I mean, I haven't watched any of Fuller House, but there's another example of sort of like the fictional saga continues. What are they all living in the same fucking house? Uncle Jesse and goddamn Uncle Joey are still in the fucking house. I'm sure they're not. I'm sure they wrote some other possibility that, Jodie Sweetin or whatever, but I thought they were all on crack or whatever. It's like, all of these people, the idea was like Kirk Cameron or whoever, once their sitcom was over, they kind of went away. And it was like, oh, whatever happened to Candace Cameron or whatever happened to Jodie Sweetin? Oh, she's really gone downhill. And it's like, no, now it's like everybody's on social media. They don't, I saw Donkey Lips has a fucking YouTube channel where he's like streaming and shit. It's like, I don't think he can legally call himself Donkey Lips. It's called something else, but I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's fucking Donkey Lips. Like, everybody knows this guy. Everybody who's fucking, born between the years 1980 and whatever knows who goddamn Donkey Lips is. Like, wasn't he in one of the Super Trooper movies? Like, I feel like this is one of the worst things you can do in entertainment, is like prey upon people's like affection for their stupid childhood shit that they watched. Like, that's just the lamest fucking way to, like, I don't know, get views or get, to just put that in your stuff. But that's what works. I don't know. I like that show, Salute Your Shorts. Was that a sitcom with Nick? He's one of the TV assholes, the TV dickheads of like the early 90s. There was Roger from Doug. He was an asshole. Nick. I'm not sure who else. Wayne, I guess, from Wonder Years. He was kind of a dick. But like, that was a recognizable type. I don't know what it was about the late 80s, early 90s, and just like the rad kind of era. But there were these guys that were just like, they were cool because they were dickheads. And they had fucked up haircuts with like bear claw sideburns and spiky hair. And, Zabka. Now there's another example, fucking Cobra Kai. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. I'm not even trying to think of these examples. It's just like, this is literally what our culture is. Cobra Kai, I've talked about it before, is a fictional fucking series that they shoot and produce now in 2020, 2021, based on The Karate Kid, which is a 35-year-old fucking movie. It's as old as I am. And it's a spinoff of the minor characters. It's a spinoff of the bad guys in the minor characters. And it's like, I cannot believe this is like one of the top things on Netflix. People really, I mean, I guess good characters are good characters and a good story is a good story, but it's like, Jesus Christ. Can't we, we're continuing all these old fictional universes, I guess that's the nature of, streaming. Is just like things move into the 21st century. They need to be, redone for Netflix, for the internet. I don't know. When are they going to reboot fucking Family Matters and Hanging with Mr. Cooper, for Christ's sakes? I want to see a sister goddamn reunion. I like that show. Was Jackée, was she on that show? Wasn't she their mom? She was great. I love Jackée. And then there was that other guy who played the dad. He was cast in a lot of stuff. These sitcoms, you'd see certain actors. Like, I think That's So Raven, her dad, he was on a lot of those shows. He had kind of an interesting look. He looked like my friend Dom. But he popped up in a lot of stuff. I never watched any of the Disney shit, like Miley or any of that shit. That was after my time. I never saw fucking Even Stevens. Like, I watched DuckTales and shit like that. Darkwing Duck. What the fuck was that show? Not Goof. Well, there was Goof Troop. Tailspin. That was on before school. That was like about some bear that flew a plane or something. How much trash was there? Literally. Jesus Christ, man. Power Rangers, of course. Like, how many different ways could they sell us toys and cereal? Like, fruit snacks. Saturday morning cartoons. We used to go to CCAD. We would take art classes every Saturday. And I remember I stopped going. I didn't want to go because I didn't want to miss Saturday morning cartoons. That's how like hooked on TV I was. Because after Friday night TGIF, you got to watch Saturday morning cartoons, X-Men, Spider-Man. I didn't want to miss anything. That was back when you had to like be at the TV to see it. I think I tried to tape it and it didn't work. It wasn't like you could DVR shit or watch it on demand. Like nowadays, we barely had cable. I mean, but Boy Meets World, Mr. Feeney. I always thought that was kind of weird. Like Mr. Feeney just kind of followed them through their whole, grade level, advancement. He followed them to like fucking middle school. He followed him to high school. He followed him to college. I think Mr. Belding may have done a similar thing on Saved by the Bell. He kind of ended up at their college. It's like, what the fuck is going on here with these creepy old teachers? Why are they following these kids around? Why is every goddamn situation Corey Matthews in? How the fuck does Mr. Feeney find his way there? That's a little weird. He's his neighbor? Doesn't he live next door to him? Like, what the fuck is going on with Mr. Feeney and Mr. Matthews? Like, I like Mr. Feeney. Clearly, he was, like, necessary to the show. And it's amazing how TV people will just, like, do anything they have to do to, like, get their characters, to do that. But Mr. Matthews, that'd be a good character. Maybe I'll do a Mr. Feeney, Mr. Matthews. He was in 1776. I remember we watched 1776 in 5th grade because it was historical. It's about, July 4th and shit, the Constitutional Convention. And Mr. Feeney's in it. It's a musical about the birth of America, the United States. And Mr. Feeney plays fucking John Adams or Thomas Jefferson or something. I think he might be Thomas Jefferson, but he might be John Adams. He might write the Declaration of Independence. I don't remember. That would make sense that Mr. Feeney did that. So he was he's an excellent singer and stage actor. And then he just happened to get in Boy Meets World and ride that cash cow through every fucking network. And I mean, everybody our age probably has affection for that show. It was kind of like, I don't know, the autobiographical show, I feel like, for white. It was like the Doug of sitcom for that age. Like I said, he was about my age when it came on. We grew up with him. Where is Fred Savage's brother now? Where is Ben Savage? What's he up to? What's his social media? Is he on Cameo? That's the other thing. I don't get this Cameo. Like, are these celebrities really that hard up? Like, you're a fucking celebrity and like you need to get on Cameo and like record a video message for $30. Like, that's kind of, I mean, I suppose if let's say you could do it in a minute and you make $50. Let's say 5 minutes. Let's say 5 minutes from like start to finish. The time it takes to do one of these, let's say 5 minutes. You make $50. If you do 12 an hour, it'd be $600. So you're making $600 an hour. That's pretty good. But I'm also like, man, like certain celebrities, you're like, man, you're really on fucking Cameo? Like, or another thing is like these conventions. Like we were out when we went to that makeup convention in LA in like 2000 and whatever, 12, 13, 2013. We're like, they have all the tables with like Monster makeup and whatever, Tom Savini or whoever. But then, like in the back, they've got a fucking room with like real celebrities where they're just like sitting there behind a table eating lunch or whatever. And fucking Danny Glover sitting right there. And it's like, get your picture taken with Danny Glover for, I don't even know, $25 or $50 or something. It's like, it's a Saturday in LA. It's a nice day. It's like Danny Glover doesn't have better shit to do than like come down here and like, he's only making $25 a pop here. I think Eric Roberts was there. There was some female star too. I forget who. There were a couple people that I was like, man, like, are you fucking serious? Like Eric Roberts doesn't have better shit to do than sit here. I mean, Danny Glover was the one that I was really surprised. I was like, this guy's a great actor, man. And like, he's been in a lot of successful shit. He's coming down here for like peanuts. And there really wasn't even that many people, it was like, there's no way he's making more than $100 to $200. It's like, I wouldn't even do that, like it's not enough, like, oh, fuck, I got to drag my ass. I'm only making $100, $200. Fuck it. I'll stay home. Like, I don't know. My impression is they made a lot more money than that, but anyway, how did I start talking about this shit? Well, I wanted to get off my personal problems, kind of. Is that all my poetry? Yeah, it is. I wanted to do a restaurant salute where I talk about a restaurant of the day. I wasn't really sure where that would be, but why don't we say Spagio, which is no longer there, and they sold it. But I worked there. Jack worked there. They were Pacific Rim pan-European cuisine or something like that. And they had a wine store attached. You know, every kind of, their menu was huge. Anyway, salute to Spagio. We'll talk about them more next time. God, what else do I need to talk about? Should I talk more about sitcoms? It's just kind of staggering how many goddamn shows and of all kinds, you know, even just sitcoms, considering like those people become famous. It's like there's kind of a lot of those shows, to be honest. Like there's a lot of cartoons, there's a lot of fucking detective shows, there's a lot of crime shows, there's just like there's a lot of movies. We were watching The Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger yesterday. It was sort of a sci-fi. I thought it was, I mean, it was schlocky like everything I've been watching, but I've just been trying to embrace that and not judge it, you know. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know. What the hell do I know? But I thought about I wanted to do maybe a Frankly Fabulous sitcom. You know, I thought maybe put that character in the center. I think it's been kind of done where it's like people are making fun of like the sitcom tropes, you know, like plugging in sort of a fish out of water character into this sort of like typical like, oh yeah, kind of like, you know, audience soundscape or whatever. Like, I don't really want to do that. I'm kind of fascinated by the production technique and just the way that it's sort of like live theater, you know, like the fact that it's anchored, like it wouldn't necessarily have to be a sitcom, but I think putting the Frankly Fabulous character into some kind of fictional circumstance that was like, uh, you know, production wise. One of the things that's been interesting and one of the aspects of like internet culture and just video editing in general is how the footage can be repurposed. Like I put on the screen earlier, and there's a bunch of different examples of this, but it was a re-edit of Seinfeld to make it look like Twin Peaks. But it was the thing that was really interesting about it was it used a bunch of, it was like Twin Peaks: The Return. So it was like it used a bunch of footage of the Seinfeld actors that was not from Seinfeld, that was more recent, like that footage of Jason Alexander on fucking CSI or whatever, which sort of went viral, where he's like his hair's gray and he's wearing like all like kind of gray clothes. They're almost like snake skin. They almost look like Desert Storm, like camouflage or something, but it's like he's got like a gray goatee. His fucking belt is gray. His shoes are like kind of like this gray leather, white leather. And it was like kind of a weird, he played some serial killer or something. And it like kind of went viral because it was such a weird. So they like edited that in, and they edited shit from, you know, Michael Richards or fucking Julia Louis-Dreyfus from Veep or whatever. But they edited it like it was Twin Peaks. So it was like, you know, they took footage from comedy shows and they slow it down. Like at one point they used the footage from the Merv Griffin show. When Kramer had the Merv Griffin show in his living room, they acted like that was the room in Twin Peaks where the little dwarf guy is with the zebra floor and the curtains, which is like sort of the dreamscape. So it was like, it jumped between the eras. It used footage from the old Seinfeld and like newer stuff, but it just compiled from all of this footage from all this different stuff, and they were able to tell a completely new story, and like I think that's kind of an interesting thing is you can take footage that's very comedic from a sitcom and you can re-edit it. You can take the laugh track out. Tim and Eric or Vic Berger, they kind of do this stuff. Or I guess this guy, DJ Doug Pound, I guess he's the guy that really kind of like had a lot to do with their editing style. Because Tim and Eric's editing style, I would say, is really what was like groundbreaking about that. When you watch their performances, they're great performers, but like the editing is what makes it like just jump to life, and just become like this whole other thing, like seeing them in person. That was what my friends said, basically, who saw them in concert. It was like, it's funny, but they didn't like it that much, to be honest, because it was a bunch of music stuff and like they didn't really like that. The show is just like, it's the editing, but point being, there's just a lot you can do. You can recontextualize something. You can, and like what was the Adult Swim thing that was like Too Many Cooks, and the conceit was it was like the credit sequence of a Full House type TV show, but it was like they were using that as a vessel to like tell this story about like a serial killer type show or something. It was like it used that yellow kind of like Full House font and had that kind of like, upbeat. I don't know who wrote those fucking theme songs, but the theme song for Full House, the one for Step by Step. Another show I liked was Blossom, although that was on NBC, so that had a little bit of a different feel. That had Joey Lawrence. The sitcom dynamics are kind of interesting. Like if one of the characters almost has to be like, I don't know, some kind of hot media sensation, like Joey Lawrence is like, whoa. And he became like of a hunk and like, a heart. He was a pinup. And like fucking JTT was like that, and sort of some of the other, not quite as much, but the other Home Improvement kids, like they were in teeny bopper magazines and shit. Joey Lawrence, like. But Blossom, it was her and her friend. I forget her friend's name. And then her dad was like a jazz musician. So it was like, I don't know. And Mayim Bialik, I think she's like super relevant culturally now. She was on some show recently, and I saw she's got some kind of podcast or fucking YouTube show or something. But I think you could, I don't know. I think maybe not even using sitcom, but just like using that setup, I just thought of it as a production thing. Like, could I set up a 3-camera setup in my actual living room? And how would that be different than a sitcom? How would that feel different? What if I put a laugh track over it? What if I put those kind of sitcom sound effects or things like that? It's like, could I just rig some kind of like multicam setup that would give it that similar like artificial feel, kind of stylized? I don't know. I mean, it was just kind of a fun experimental thing to think about. One of the other things I wanted to talk about was I was checking out, because I was going through my YouTube subscriptions to like load up some videos for the background for this. And I looked at my friend Joel's YouTube because it didn't, it said it wasn't like no videos popped up. It just said visit this page. So I clicked it and it took me over to his band's fucking YouTube page, his band, The Lethal Weapons, which I have not really checked out. I mean, I'm Instagram friends with him, so I see a little bit on there. But to be honest, I didn't really realize, like, first of all, how successful it was, but second of all, just like how much of a YouTube thing it was. Because like several of their videos have like 1 million views or near that. I mean, several of their videos have got like, 700,000-800,000 views. And I was just like, blown away to see that. And I have not really watched. I mean, I made a video about a Skype conversation I had with him in 2016 where I used a little bit of one of their early videos. But this thing kind of took off without me even really noticing, to be honest. Like I said, I follow him on Instagram, but I didn't really realize how big it had become. And YouTube, I mean, now that I'm a YouTuber and I'm trying to, get a bunch of views and subscribers and shit, I'm thinking more about, and kind of what was interesting about it was even though it's a musical project, the videos were very important. And like, there was almost a video for every song. And I think I read an article about them in the fucking paper over there, and it talked about how they released lyric videos. And when they played a show, everybody in the audience knew all the fucking lyrics to all their songs because of these lyric videos and shit. And I always wanted to make music videos in fucking Audible or Holy Smokes and Wavetable and shit. And I've put Wavetable video stuff up, that nobody's watched, but I thought it was interesting, the idea that like the video is the platform, and like if you make their songs are great. I mean, I will say that like the production and the precision and just like, I mean, it's all in Japanese for the most part. There's sort of like, English language fragments and proper nouns and things sort of sprinkled throughout in a really cool way. It's just very well done, and it's kind of poetic and like, or like, it's advocating for a lot of political kind of things in an interesting way. It talks about labor issues in Japan, or like just kind of appreciating nature and just kind of a lot of things Joel and I have talked about, stillness or whatever. Things you find in, Japanese filmmaking or whatever, but their sound is it's very like 80s. It's very like, it's some of it kind of sound like New Order a little bit. Some of it's kind of like, it's all super high energy and like, hold on. And they kind of perform it in character, like he wears a costume and he looks a little bit like Ken Masters from Street Fighter, but it's like, it's totally him. He's got the aviator shades and kind of a Marty McFly thing with the vest. And so it's 80s. He kind of looks like the dude from Streets of Rage, the fighting game. He's harmonizing and kind of, inferring a lot of those connections, but it's his own thing. And I mean, it's cool to see, you know what I mean? Like it was just because I'm pretty sure it happened quickly. Like I was curious about that, because he's played in bands and stuff. And I've played with him in stuff, that's one of the things the video talks about. We played Clash songs and shit like that, and it's cool to see him like really break through. He's got a couple of young children and he lives in Japan. He speaks Japanese and shit. He's like, the way they put shit together, I was really impressed by it, man. Because it wasn't, I mean, every fucking jackoff has like their fucking homebrew music project. And like, this is like very professional quality sound. And I'm watching, I'm like, how did they do this? Like the videos are like very, very well executed. And they have all this merch. They've got all these crazy like cutouts of themselves and big posters and shit. And it's just like t-shirts, towels, like, and the videos are excellent. You know, there's a lot of good ideas and like cool animation, cool aesthetic. Like it's not amateur at all. It looks like some fucking like creative agency did it, frankly, because it looks like very well done, you know. And so I was just curious about that process, you know, because like I said, everybody I know, their Bandcamp or project or whatever is like, you know, it's sort of halfway between amateur and professional. And like, they certainly don't have any traction like that. Nobody that I know really leads with YouTube. You know, no musician I know does that. They all like are focused on Bandcamp or Spotify or whatever. And I know people with 1 million clicks on fucking Spotify, but like, I don't know, man. I mean, it was like I was watching one of their performances because there's a live video posted, and the audience is just like so with them. You know, they have hand signals and shit, Lethal Weapons. They do this, and it was really cool to see. But there's almost like comedy skits. You know, Joel, he lived in Philadelphia. And he took improv. I encouraged him to take improv classes. I think he took a sketch comedy skit class with Kevin McDonald from Kids in the Hall. So he's like, you know, he's very trained and he's in that world. I met him doing Shakespeare in Schiller Park. We were both in The Tempest. He played the boatswain, I think, and a number of other characters. And I played you know, Ferdinand, but we hit it off. And, he was definitely one of my best friends in Columbus. We don't keep in touch that much, you know, just because of this, that, you know, he lives in Japan. I live, you know, but I visited him in Philadelphia once. That was the one time I went to Philadelphia. I had a great time. We went to the Rocky statue and all that stuff. That was in 2012, October. That was one of the last times I saw him. I really haven't seen him that many times, you know, over the past few years. And his family, you know, he's got 2 young kids. And I think my brother talks to him on Instagram. I don't know. Like, he always kind of, I don't know. I always just got the impression that I wanted to be friends with him. I thought it was a deeper friendship than he thought it was, I think. To me, it was like a pretty important to meet somebody who was into, you know, like the first time I went over to his house, he had some of the David Mamet books about directing film and some Werner Herzog shit. He had foreign films, he had Criterion films, and a lot of books that I had that I was just like, oh man, I can't believe somebody else in this town. I think he maybe had Werner Herzog's Herzog on Herzog book. So it was like, you know, I thought we were like, you know, but he's got a lot of good friends, you know, all over the world. So I don't know. But it's cool, you know, I'm happy for him. I think it's really, it's a great project. You know, that's why I was kind of curious just about their whole process and how this stuff gets made, because it's all like very, very well done and very smart. You know, it reminds me of like the Clash stuff in that it's, you know, fun. It rocks through the changes, you know. All the songs are catchy and memorable, to be honest. Like most of them that I've seen up there like work. There isn't hardly any of the songs that have less views. They all have about 700-800 or 1 million views. Have 700-800,000. You know, it's like I haven't seen anything up there hardly that I'm like, this song is like some throwaway piece of shit that nobody liked. It was like they're all pretty complicated. His singing is excellent. I mean, he's always been a very good singer. He's always had a nice voice. And he is a great actor and performer. And like, an incredibly smart and like deep person, uh like he is a hilarious fucking actor, man, and a really like inspiring actor. Like just like his animation and he is just a funny ass fucking dude, man. Like he's really a great performer. Uh so it's cool that they have the discipline and they've like broken through like that. I don't know. Is there anything else I need to talk about? Maybe I'll go to 12:30. Uh but it was cool because their stage show had kind of incorporated some comedy things and like sort of the characters were kind of it was like it was more than just in fact it was kind of different than a concert. The way the audience was standing there watching and listening, was a little bit uh I don't know, just like the all of the production though was just like so together. It's like, that's one of the limitations that I feel like I've felt being in New York and having no money or space is just like it's hard to I mean there's no resources to do any of that stuff. Like even getting like a camera crew together to shoot something just felt like impossible because like everybody's schedules were so busy and you know it's not like a laid back place. Like there wasn't that kind of just like late like uh spur of the moment creativity really. Like I mean at the house there was, but like the point we got to when we got to the point that we could actually produce like professional video, that was when sort of everything fell apart. When we got that green screen and started to shoot the wrestling promo stuff, that was like when the production value and Eric started to make all these like, graphics, TV, watermark, you know, logo identification slides and shit like that, animations, that kind of shit can make your YouTube channel, Like me, this is a homebrew operation here. This is about the most lo-fi way you could do this. This is the way people were streaming in like 1998. My show would be super groundbreaking if it happened in 1996, let's say. Unfortunately, I'm 25 years too late. And one of the things I saw that was really cool that the Lethal Weapons did was they, because of coronavirus, they did a live stream concert, but they did it with Street Fighter 2 backdrop. So, like the Street Fighter 2, song that we have, it starts off, with like the Street Fighter 2 opening sequence and shit. But it says the Lethal Weapons and it's them. It's like somehow they had somebody animate them. Like I'm saying, like this is like really professional quality shit. It's not just like something you could throw together. It's like they got somebody to do this and it looks like Street Fighter 2. And then, they go to the character screen and there they are and they pick themselves. And then, so when the first stage shows up, the Guile stage, Seattle or whatever that is, the aircraft, there they are. There's Cyborg Joe and the other guy in the football helmet where the fighters are. And then there's, the life meter says Cyborg Joe. And then And so they play their concert, and every song's like a different stage. So that was like a cool, they green screened them into that. Like their production was very high. It looked cool, looked awesome. And like they had like 200,000 views or something, which for like a live stream of a concert, that's not easy. It was because they took the time and the care to like provide that setup and that motif that people saw that and they were like, oh, this is cool. Let's watch this. I mean, 200,000 views is a lot for a fucking live stream of a concert, like of a band that's not, I mean, when it makes perfect sense because Joel, we played Japanese songs. We played that Linda Linda song by the Blue Hearts. And then there was some song that it may have been the Blue Hearts, but it was, the singer was singing American blues musicians' names. And Joel used to imitate him. Howlin' Wolfa, because he does it, in a Japanese accent. Muddy watara, Howlin' Wolfa. Sunny boy, lightning. And I just thought that was, a beautiful song. I really loved the music and the culture that I discovered, through him. I'm talking to my buddies Lutfi and Enal on fucking Instagram right now, More Enal. We're talking about Bob Dylan a lot. But, those are all great guys. And what he's doing now is like, it's an extension of that, It's like, it's weird because it is the same thing. And I was reading kind of their origin story, and it was pretty interesting because like I said, I had watched that video of them a couple years ago where Joel's got a gun and it's da 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 da, and it was at this little bookstore, I think, is where they shot it. And in the article, it talks about how Joel met the guy. Well, he doesn't mention his name. I probably shouldn't mention his name either. Fuck. But that I thought that was kind of an interesting choice. He wants to retain his kind of personal anonymity. He didn't want people to know his real name. Because the way I'm looking at it is like, if I were to look at extending Frankly Fabulous into reality, it's like you couldn't do it any better than that. Like his character literally has fucking t-shirts, people are dressing up him coming to the concert and shit. They're dressing up as Cyborg Joe. It's like, that's pretty fucking cool. They're dressing up for Halloween and shit. Like, he'll probably have an action figure or something. Like, that's about as good as you can hope for with like extending your fictional character into, the marketplace or whatever. And just like the public imagination, people are dressing up as your character to come to the concert. Like, so it's a big success, like they're a great team. But it said something about how Joel, like, or my friend, like, wanted to hang out with this guy and like, kind of like they bonded over time. It took time, like, but Joel, my friend, made the effort, but that's the impression that I get is it's more the one guy's kind of musical project. And then my friend is kind of the singer and like front man, he's the live performer. He's the face. They're an interesting team because the one guy wears a football helmet and he kind of grounds it. He plays this awesome guitar without a headstock. That's super 80s. And I think they threw their outfits together kind of quickly. I don't think it was like some super premeditated thing, but it worked. That's all that matters. And like, it's a cool counterpoint, it really works, and it's a hit. I mean, my friend is, he knows how to make stuff work. one time I was telling him that I was doing push-ups, and he's really good at working out and stuff. Like, he's actually able to build muscle. He's got, you know, t- finely toned big arms, and I was telling him, because I do push-ups like this with a fist with my right hand, because my right wrist is very, I don't know, it's very weak and sprained for some reason. So I can't really do it like this because it just like, it aggravates that joint. And he's like, well, you'll, one of your arms is going to get bigger than the other. Like, you need that equality, like, he understands stuff. Like, his dad is a professor, and I don't know. I think he maybe went to a private college. His parents love him. But more power to him. I'm glad to see he's doing a great job, and they really are kicking ass. I mean, I just stumbled upon these videos. It's just amazing, the riches of YouTube. You're constantly unearthing new shit all the time, but I just stumbled upon these videos that have like I said, 1 million fucking views, and I started watching them, and they're nice, man. They're really well done. Like, I had a couple of them on in the background. I encourage other people to check them out. I think they're big in Japan, and I think they're dope as shit, like, it's amazing because he speaks like fluent Japanese, it seems like to me. He's on stage and he's bantering and joking and improvising in Japanese in front of an audience live. When I knew him in Columbus, one of the last jobs he had, or one of the jobs he had right before I left for New York, was he was doing a dinner theater, or like one of these, it was like one of these theater things that it's like a party and they come to your house and it's like they're all in character. So he was like a detective, and I think the idea was like everybody at the party is in character, and there's like a crime or something, but there's actors who are like, doing part of it. And then there's the party goers who are like, the clue players or whatever. And his character's name was Detective P. Ness. And I think it was like kind of sexual and like a lot of silly entendres, and that was like a part of it maybe. And it was kind of a randy thing, but he was like the dude that was like running the whole shit. He was like, he always had these crazy acting jobs, because he kind of went after it harder than I did. Like, I don't know. He did more plays than I did. He got involved. He just kind of put himself out there. I took less projects. I would do kind of my own projects. And like, to be honest, I don't think I really knew how to meet the best filmmakers. Meeting him was like a huge thing for me. Like, he was really like, it was like such a, one of my adult friends that I was like, yeah, I have a lot in common with this person. This isn't just like some childhood friend that like, I think he likes my brother more than he likes me, like everybody, but I don't know. I like being alone, so that doesn't really bother me. It bothered me one time. He told me, because he lived in Philadelphia and he went to New York to like see a movie or something. I guess he would go to New York to like fucking Lincoln Center to like watch movies occasionally. And he never even invited me or told me about it or anything. It's like, dude, I live in New York. Like, you don't want to fucking hang out or anything. You just want to go see him. Like, you won't come here to see. He never once came to the Slooge, like, for instance, let's say. And it was around that time. It was like, I don't know. It was just like one of those things. I was like, I think I want to be friend. I like think this friendship is like more. This friendship is more important to me, than it is to him. Like, I think he thought I was like, I don't know, full of myself or something, or I don't know. like we were very close, but I don't know. He was kind of like he fucking talks to my brother on Instagram and shit. You know, he doesn't talk to me. Uh I've been kind of doing my own thing the last few years, and like I would like to have that kind of breakthrough. I mean, I don't know how I could make anything that tight. Like their stuff is so tight and it's so well done, and it's just like I'm listening to it. I'm reading these lyrics. And I'm like, God damn! Did Joel write these? Did my friend write these goddamn songs? Like this is shit. Is like it's in Japanese. Like, I mean, not that that's like impossible or anything, but like, and the lyrics were good. They, like I said, they utilized the fragments of English in a very funny and interesting way, and they were very poetic. There was one line about like bricks, wild blue sky, and you know, it was just there was a lot of really nice kind of normal lyrics. You know, they weren't necessarily straining to be super dramatic, but they were affecting and profound, I thought, in a way. You know, I don't know. Am I overselling this? I don't know. I'm trying to come to peace with liking. I mean, this I really didn't feel any animosity or like threatened. I didn't feel threatened by, or like you know, like certain friends' musical projects, I might feel like a certain amount of threat from, which might make me a little bit less likely to support. You know, like my one friend who stole my band, like I don't necessarily have a problem with what they did or what they're doing. Like more power to them if like if they like playing with each other and that's what they're doing. I was doing my thing. And I liked getting away from them. I didn't want to do what they did anymore. But it's like, I mean, it was literally the exact same band that I had when I started, you know, except minus me, and he was there instead. So like, I don't know how supportive I can be of that, you know, like I don't know. But other things, you know, like I'm trying to be a little more into, like, I don't know, it's just a hobby. I mean, everybody would like to make it their career, but to be honest, like, let's just call it what it is. Like, everybody's just a hobbyist, really. You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, to take it to the next level, I mean, like I was saying, they have kind of an interesting niche because it's a YouTube thing. And it's a lyric video. They have characters, and the video is just as important as. But the music is completely like clean, you know, like it's high quality, it's high def, it's synths, it's kind of Dragon Force-y guitar a little bit. It kind of reminded me of Dragon Force. Like it sounds like video game music a little bit. You know, it sounds like fucking, you know, 80s Nintendo game music. And 80s is kind of the motif. They have a song about all the action heroes, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I definitely watch it. Definitely check it out because it's one of those cultural things. It's like, wow, there's this is an American guy from Ohio is in this fucking metal band in Japan, or like I don't even know what you'd call them. They said in the article halfway between hair metal and new wave, which, yeah, I guess so. I mean, they sound like video game music. They sound like I said, a little bit like New Order at times, but it sounds more like the music from like Sega's Outrun game, or like there's a little bit of Clash type things. And like I said, they're politically involved in a way that was really surprising. Like that's why I was impressed with it. I was just like, this is actually like very well done. Like like they're saying kind of important things in a way that I found very tasteful and like artistic. And it was like, it was popular. I mean, I think maybe that country maybe is just more uh able to accept ideas on that level. Like here, everything has to bludgeon you over the head and like forget about being political. The pop music's totally bland. I mean, it's like an 80s throwback band. Like that's one thing they said in the article is it's the 80s. Things were better in the 80s, and we are the 80s. That was the difference, is what Cyborg Joe said. Other bands try to sound like they're from the 80s, and then he said we just are the 80s. We are 80s. And I mean, that was a big I saw the fucking we saw the Expendables together. Joel texted me, "You want to eat a bunch of protein and go see the Expendables?" And we saw it at like noon or something. We saw it in the afternoon. That would have been right before I left for New York at some point, 2010. It's where my life was at. Or was that when I came back? Was that 2012? His spouse, well, maybe I shouldn't say, but she was an airline steward. So she had one of those jobs where like literally he's always been a huge traveler and kind of, so with that job they could fly anywhere really, and she could get kind of like free discounts. So one time they tried to hook me up with a flight back from LA that was like sold at the like airline steward price. That was really nice of them because they only got a few of those vouchers a year. To be honest, it really didn't save that much money. In fact, I didn't even do it because I think I may have been able to get a cheaper flight another way. But it was nice of them to offer that, and I mean, that's a cool job. Like, she's been all over the world and like, that's cool. I think they've been to, the vacation in Europe and shit like that. I don't know. I'd like, like what an interesting life, But yeah, I don't know. Maybe doing something that was a little more YouTube. The YouTube with, I just don't know how I'd ever make a recording with that clean. Like even the people I worked with that were like super proficient recording, kind of serious about it, like they never made a recording that sounded that clean and like listenable. Like that shit sounded like it could be on the radio, really. Whereas even the bands I know that are serious, their recordings aren't quite there. Like, and it's amazing how off a lot of the people I know with like recording studios shit is. Like, doesn't sound like the radio at all to me. But if that's the standard, well, do I need to talk about anything else? I don't mean I'm not like passing artistic judgment. This is just, I don't know. It's just what came up. It's just, rather than talk more about my depressing ass, it was something that I just happened to stumble upon right before I started watching this. And I was like really pleasantly surprised. I was like, it was very well done. And it was like my buddy was just like really doing, bringing a lot of light and doing, what I remember him doing, but like on such a big scale. And I don't know. I'd like to have 1 million YouTube viewers. You know, that was another weird thing. It's like, fuck. I don't know. I'm getting more into YouTube, and like, that's where it's at. You know, if you create an audience there, you can create a splash. It like you do get. I think you do like this fucking dude Cash Jordan on you know, he does New York City real estate. His videos don't get that many views. 8 or 9,000, or maybe double, maybe 5-digit thousand, but not a lot more than that. And people are recognizing him in every one of his videos on the street. Hey, you're the fucking YouTube guy. It's like, YouTube's where it's at, man. all my content is going to be geared toward YouTube from now on. This might be the last video. I want to see. You know, like, music has never really, it's never been a serious recording enterprise for me. Like, in the bands I was in, that was always somebody else's problem, not mine. Like, you know, the first time I was in a recording studio, I was 19 years old. And every time I've ever been in a recording studio, it's just a frustrating process that doesn't go anywhere. Nothing ever gets released. The recordings are always like very rushed and unrealized. You get a cool aesthetic for whatever that's worth, you know, just because they're the kind of botched, you know, nature of their coming to being. But I've never been the one that like takes charge of it and is like, okay, here's the fucking recording. Like, here's how it's going to go down. I'm just going to do it, you know, the way you know, like, maybe I could make something cool. I don't know. Should I try to do that maybe when I get back to New York? I don't know if I'm really going to be able to do music that much when I get there. Like, I don't know, you know, that apartment, how much noise you can make in there, but maybe we'll be able to work something out. It's not really that important to me. Like, I'm fine to be in silence, frankly. Like, I think musicians get way too much reverence and adulation. Like, let me skip this one. Let me see what's on next. Like, what they do is like not that hard. Oh shit, man. No. Okay. Damn it. I broke my fucking pen. Was that my pen? I guess yeah, it was. Shit. Oh well. I got another one like it. Ugh. Anyway, back to the hell world of loneliness. I'm gonna try to sleep. I'm kind of tired right now, but I don't know. I probably need to go to sleep immediately, or I'll be up till fucking 5 in the morning or something. I don't know. I'm just very emotional recently. What the fuck is this? Yeah, that was my last video. All right, well, thanks for watching. Stay happy. Get some sleep.
I think they're wonderful. Telling the truth can be dangerous business. Honest and popular don't go hand in hand. If you admit that you can play the accordion, no one will hire you in a rock and roll band. But we can sing our hearts out all night. And if we're lucky, then no neighbors complain. Nobody knows when the beginning part starts out. But being human, we can live with the pain.
Because life is the way we audition for God. Let us pray that we all get the job.
Crying out loud gets disappointed and laughed at. Feel like a baby, only babies should cry. Somebody tell me how that rumor got started. Some things I know that only God knows why. But we can sing our hearts out.
Yeah, baby.